I was gonna say, is it just simply Ursa? And simply Ursa it is. Of course, not that much lockdown on Dreamers. A lot of things that you can get out of in Enrage. And of course, if the Enrage is already going, the Bushwhack, the chains, all of the roots, the lockdown ends up really not lasting all too long onto that Ursa.
Mm-hmm. You're already looking at kind of loose CC, right, with the roots, and then it's going to last and less time. And if you're Dreamers, you do still have the means to try and sort of counterbalance this, right? Their carry has not been picked up yet. They could still get a high damage option to not just fight the Ursa in terms of actual toe-to-toe fighting, but also match him in farming rate as well. Because neither side has necessarily dramatically fluctuated here in terms of their overall pacing.
Yeah, and I am trying to think of what Adrian's carry is going to be. Uh, it's a really difficult lane into Rubik Centaur. If they wanted to pick something like an illusion carry, it's where I don't think Naga is necessarily on the table. It's also where I think Slark would be too hard, even though Slark
Mm-hmm.
is incredible versus Silencer and really versus Ursa as well, just because of the way the Ag Shard works and your ability to save your teammates and really just kite the hell out of Ursa in every single way. But again, I think it's where the lane, the magic damage is just a little bit too much. They probably want simply a ranged hero that's robust, that gives them a little bit quicker damage. Because really, on Dreamers right now, and a problem that we always talk about when it comes to heroes like Tidehunter and really like Puck as another example, is that the damage falls off the face of the earth. Past 15, 20 minutes, post BKBs, these heroes have really big issues. It's where somebody else in the lineup has to cover the slack. It's where you need a right clicker. You need to cover the physical part of the lineup. Otherwise, you really start to fall behind. It's where I think the easy call would be if they wanted to turn the draft around and maybe look for something like the Nature's Prophet and then just fill it in as their carry. That'd probably feel like a good answer, but we'll have to see. They also have 23 picks, so whatever they go up against, don't have to worry about any direct counters or too many direct counters, but it's kind of a tough hero that Adrian's going to have to find. Also, something to note, in going for the Pango ban, they have freed up that Bat Rider that DogChamp might simply just look to pick up, run it
Mm-hmm.
back, same lane, Bat Rider versus Ember. It's very intriguing that they decided to ban out the Pango while having the tree themselves, as we saw, of course, in the previous series. As soon as the train was picked up, Pango was no longer a thought in the back of your mind. So I do wonder if that's where DogChamp are just going to simply take this draft.
Yeah, it is an option open to them. In the meantime, their bans on Drow and Shroll. So, as you mentioned, the hyper carry late game illusion based hero, not really something that DogChamp were overly afraid of, and maybe not something the Dreamers want to look into themselves, but you will have to see what the choice is for them. But in terms of a hero for Adrian, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they want more lockdown from this lineup, ET, but you also need the damage. Can they afford to go something kind of squishy here, or does it need to be another semi frontline option?
I think it can afford to be squishy, and okay,
Hmm.
they decided to go for the TB, which, of course, as we always talk about, TB hedges his bets. He is not the best ranged hero, he is not the best illusion hero, but he does every job all right. He is not in either camp. He is the pseudo every carry, basically, at this point. And it's a comfort hero for Adrian, which is
Yep.
not too bad at all. It naturally builds Scotty. So versus Ursa, you're okay. You're just about satisfied, even though it's a little bit of a risk. And I genuinely think into Rubik Centaur, that's a pretty tough lane. And instead of going for the bat, they go for Zeus. So, okay. Well, even at the end of the day, Adrian gets directly countered. Okay. I'll eat my words. Even though I think the mid lane could get a little bit difficult for RCY if too many heroes end up showing up to just go for the dive. Very obnoxious game, very obnoxious lane for Jamari. It cannot go for the Flame Guard build because it just dies in 2 spells from Zeus, so it means that he is going to have to go for Slight. It just feels like RCY is going to have a really safe time. And then again, I feel like Adrian's going to be put under a ton of pressure by Rubik Centaur. There's just so much magic
Right.
damage in this game. It's going to be a tough TB game, all in all. There are quite a few things he's going to have to play against.
Yeah, when you're in the meta form and you've got maybe that range to work with, he could have a little bit of an easier time avoiding that damage, but in melee, it's not going to be a fun time for him. And then, as you pointed out, with RCY and the Zeus, he annoys his mid lane opponent. In the team fights, he's going to annoy the Terrorblade, and the fact that they have Centaur and Ursa as the other two cores meant that RCY could afford to be on someone a little less durable, a little more damage oriented.
Yeah. And of course, this does mean that uh, in similar fashion to the lean in our previous series, a lot of that weight is going to be on the Centaur. The initiation is your blink stun. It's going to be very dependent on when Italiano gets that blink dagger and how he gets that blink dagger. That's where the game for DogChamp begins effectively because RCY is on a farming mid. He is not making rotations. You have, of course, the added benefit of Thunder God's Wrath. It'll help out the side lanes a little bit. But other than that, you aren't going to see very much help from RCY.
Very much a self-oriented kind of style from him in this one, which, hey, that's kind of the way his Tinker plays out a lot, right? He spends a lot of time farming before eventually getting involved, so not a playstyle that DogChamp are unfamiliar with by any means. The question is, does he actually stay safe long enough for that to play out?
Yeah, and whether or not they can close that gap, of course, that is always going to be the carrot at the end. They're going to be looking to get that Zeus early. Honestly, in most situations, kill him first, because I think they have some tools to kite the Ursa. But really, if RCY is allowed to cut you in half with all of the magic damage he can output, it's not going to be pretty. It's also where I think if Jamari gets enough space, gets enough time, is able to look past Global Silence, that's where it is a fantastic Ember game. Aside from the lane, aside from the silencer that he's going to have to deal with, really, a lot of the stuns in this game he can react to. It's where I wouldn't be surprised if we just see Maelstrom Ags come out from him, even though maybe a Dispel would do him some good service. But it's also one of those games where come 37 minutes into the game, if we see a flicker, fall into Dreamer's lap, then Jamari is absolutely free. It's where Silencer just becomes not a hero. It's where a lot of those tier 4s with the Dispels become so brutal to play against.
Well, let's see. Bloody Nine says that they're ready to go on their side. So, the game will be resumed, and we're going to get this one underway. It'll be interesting to see how the styles played out. That was something I did want to sort of talk about, maybe independently of the draft. The way these two teams played the previous series was kind of opposite styles. DogChamp largely dominated and won their lanes, and then kind of took that momentum and rolled it. Dreamers, on the other hand, kind of played it differently. They were behind in their first game, then sort of even in game two. They waited until that sort of mid-game and then hit their timings and were able to take control of the game. So we'll see how it plays out here, right? Because if DogChamp come out and get a lot out of these lanes, that'll be great for them, but that's the way that Dreamers had sort of well, maybe not liked it, but the way that they had been able to deal with it in their previous win.
Yeah, and DogChamp certainly need a lot of net worth. It's one of those games where very easily you can say, DogChamp need items. They don't care about their levels too much. Their supports care about their levels, but with the cores, it is just the mountain of gold that they're going to need to amass before they can really make too many plays. It's where Dreamers are the exact opposite. They need levels desperately, but item-wise, they could do with or without. Their damage is pretty much entirely ability bound at that point. And look at that. Okay. A little bit of clicking war, some punches traded, but 555 wins it. And then now, B9. Yeah. Free kill.
Very patient. Drakeel and ZXCA waited on the high ground, kept themselves out of vision of this ward right here, let 555 do the heavy lifting, and well, it may be a 2-2 split on the runes, but they've got first blood in their hands, and they don't miss out on any time in the lanes either. Immediate TP top from the Train Protector, gets a D ward even, so 555, pretty much the perfect start to the game. Not really a whole lot more he could do than what he pulled off.
No, pretty fantastic stuff. Of course, blocks out the large camp as well. But Yaren, no Quelling Blade, so tree cutting is all Italiano's job, which means it's going to come out that much slower, even though already I think they're pretty happy with the small camp blocked up and with Italiano already pushing the creep wave back. Really, Centaur's got his creep wave exactly where he wants him. This is also where Dreamers aren't willing to make a trade really too heavily until level 2, with the Reflection already picked up by Adrian, but once they do hit level 2, got to be so careful, especially on Yaren, because all it takes is a Nature's Grasp and a Leech Seed to hit with the meta hitting you, and then that's probably going to be your second blood.
Has got to play it safe. In the meantime, checking out mid, RCY getting hit up a little bit here in the early stages. You see Jamari does go for the Flame Guard, at least the 1 point in it, so no, it doesn't last a crazy long time if RCY is hitting him up, but being able to eat maybe 1 or 2 spells while still getting creep pressure like this is, not worth entirely ignoring.
No, it's not too bad. Of course, as you keep saying, doesn't last for long, and RCY doesn't even though it's incredibly cheap for him, doesn't even give him the respect of taking it away. He says, I'm just going to make sure it hits your actual HP bar because, well, I got my bottle first. So he's going to try and be that bully that we know RCY to be, as he has just been a killer in every single lane we've seen so far from him.
And regardless of the matchup, both in terms of heroes and players, he has held his own. He's had some games where, you wouldn't say he was dominant, but very rarely does he just get straight up sort of beaten, which, yeah, if you're a mid laner, that's it, right? You don't always have to win, just make sure that you don't really lose, and you're still in a good spot. Meantime, Yarn and 555 are smacking the crap out of each other here. Camp is still blocked off, though, so if you're the Treant Protector, yeah, really, you're just kind of babysitting at this point. Make sure Yarn doesn't do any funny business. Don't get caught by this, though. There's going to be a fair bit of damage. Double Edge does come through, but it's only... Actually, that was level 2. Wow. Yeah, 555 is just a little bit more durable.
Yeah, just kind of Treant diff in that situation, but also a good opportunity for Adrian to pop the meta, get some good hits in. And now he's unfortunately forced into being a little bit more passive, but it's in the bottom lane where simply get level 3, all your spells do a little bit more damage, and then paired with that combo we always talk about, just the Gush plus the Bushwhack plus the Acorn Shot, a lot of physical damage that ends up bleeding through.
And Yuma in a situation here where, yeah, maybe he can get into the fight and dish out some counter damage, but he's not really that big of a deterrent right now. Dreamers didn't really have to be all that afraid of him, especially considering just how squishy B9 is, and now they're going to try to hit Yuma. Bushwhack, Gush, it's a little bit of damage, but I'm not quite sure they're ready for that target just yet.
No, it's a little bit too difficult, and I think now Zixie might just be forced all the way back home. He's got a courier, but I don't know if he wants to expend any of this regen, but fortunately for him, he's got a secondary job. Gets to stack the Ancients, and he's going to be back to base while Drakeel just anchors down the lane.
Stacks it up, makes his way home. Meanwhile, up top, Yarn and Italiano tried onto the tree, and again, they come up short. So 555 is really soaking up a fair bit of damage at this point. However, well, we go back down bot where Drakeel is alone, and he is getting hit pretty hard. One more hit. Oh, DOT does it. So B9 gets the kill. That's the first kill of the game for DogChamp, but that's just unfortunately the cost, right? The Hoodwink has to step out of lane, and it's a 2v1 that DogChamp will take advantage of.
Yep, of course, does mean that no rotations have been made towards that mid lane. There haven't been any constant bottle refilling. Everybody just has to play with their own regen, which I think just ever so slightly ends up favoring Jamari, just because if he is caught without resources pre-level 6, lane can get really hard really quickly. So really, I think gamers are getting what they want, even though it's an unfortunate tie death. Could be a lot worse, though. And now Zixie is back. I mean, we're back to business. These are a lot of stacks that Drakeel has allowed himself to get built up, and I think Drakeel needs some help. Zixie doesn't have Bushwhack for another 3 seconds, and the play will die down, but that is a Tidehunter that just got back to lane who is effectively out of nothing again.
Yeah, Tango's going to be passed his way, but you're not quite that tanky just yet, right? 1 point up in the Kraken Shell is useful, but if Yuma's just allowed to hack away at you, you are still in some trouble, and they're going to go again. They get the DOT, the last word's there. Is that enough, though? One more glaive flies through, but I don't think that's enough to kill him. Drakeel backs off, but Yuma and B9 are being, okay, incredibly aggressive in the lane against a Tide who's supposed to be pretty damn hard to kill, but RCY comes in with the Thunder God's Wrath and gets a freebie.
Yeah, and as I like to say, whenever we are playing versus this Zeus, it's a raindrop check across the map, and not everybody was ready. As now mid, Well, Jamari guesses wrong on the rune. RCY has an illusion rune. Does have his level 6 though, but a level 6 that is forced out of him. And he doesn't have a TP scroll actually. I think it's coming on the Crow, but has to go for his bounty rune. Gets a little bit of a worse reset, but rotation in from the tree. Doesn't end up in the tree's death or Yaren's death. Does calm down, but a lot of damage traded.
Mm-hmm. Sort of the first rotation being made towards that middle lane, and I don't know. It's too much come of it? No, not really, but it was sure as hell interesting. But Yaren? Okay. Nifty little play there. Gets the lift. 555 does have his TP, though, so he can get out of this really whenever he wants, but might as well park it where he is for now. Drop the living armor. Now he'll TP, because no rush. You're a Treant.
Oh man, and look
Oh,
at this
Yuma.
lane.
I don't really know. He was very low on HP. I just don't know. Maybe he didn't see the hoodwink coming in. Survived the gush, but then the bushwhack sort of locks him down.
Yeah, just took a little bit too much damage. Doesn't have a ring of health either, so was kind of idly and slowly healing up with Tango's spoon-fed to him, but doesn't pan out. Does get a free reset and does actually get to TP back to the lane with full phase, so Drakeel needs to be a little careful, but with the way the lane is, Drakeel is absolutely fine.
Too early deaths it's unfortunate, but he's gotten to the point that he wants to be, right? It's hard to dislodge him. He can farm, he can find experience, and at this point, maybe we can start to see that hoodwink sort of shuffle off and, well, accomplish other tasks. Right now, ZXA is stacking once again, but would see some rotations out towards mid or top. Although right now it looks like he is coming back down bot, so they're not 100% confident that Drakeel can entirely hold by himself here, and based on the damage he's taking, I can kind of see where that concern comes from.
And now this is where DogChamp are going to be fiending for another play, though. This is where, especially in the TB's lane, who did just Sculpt Thunder, looking for that Thunder God's Wrath. They're trying to save it right now, even though this would make this kill a lot safer, and we'll see. And actually, okay, they get it bottom. Oh, just a simultaneous play, one that will result in Yaren's death, but at least they get a return onto Drakeel yet again.
Yeah, and originally it did seem like they were looking for 555 there, but getting the core kill out of it, well, works out better for them. And 555, you mentioned earlier, the range drop check, he did have one, so without it, maybe he lives anyway, but he's able to survive for sure. And now Italiano, well, they know he already used Stampede, but he's pretty tanky with the Vanguard, so they decide not to pursue it any further.
Yeah, it's unfortunately a lane that this duo cannot push the Centaur out of. Italiano is just going to look for that early Blink Dagger now. He's got some pretty great timings currently. Of course, is giving a lot of free lane time to both Adrian and 555. Not like he can get too aggressive underneath the tower with the skill build. Not too many points up in return just yet, but again, feel like he's satisfied. He's done exactly what he wanted, and he has put a decent amount of pressure onto Adrian. There's been a lot of living armors, a lot of tangos, a lot of regen forced into Adrian's hand just because of how much damage that double edge does.
Adrian just shuffling off to the jungle at this point. Going to allow 555 to hopefully hit 6 in the near future, but that does also mean Italiano and Yaren are free to kind of push this out a little bit. But this is going to be kind of the issue for DogChamp. This lineup is not the most effective tower pushing team in the world, right? So if it's free, but it's going to be slow no matter what.
Yeah, it's where this cart is going to make this push a lot easier, but also a great ward from Dreamers. Scouted out RCY already walking over. Of course, all he is here to do is to look for that Treant in the trees with the Thunderbolt, and until then, he really doesn't have too much to do, but 555 is going to continue to be that obnoxious Treant, just trying to keep his tier 5 or tier 1 alive as long as humanly possible. Meanwhile, the gank squad comes over, and they see RCY coming back towards mid. This would be a huge kill.
Spidey senses are tingling, though. RCY, he's hesitating. Yep, there it is. Suspected that something was up, dodges the bushwhack, and oh, that's just good instinct, really. Jamari is still going to try and make something happen. Honestly, yeah, they could just overpower B9 here in the middle lane all by himself, so they will get a kill out of that rotation. Some good pressure onto the tier 1 as well, so not a bad play overall.
No, this is really good damage. Of course, no cart, but it could be worse. And I think right now, with RCY coming back, maybe the push will cease. But Jamari, he needs to start bottling up. He doesn't have enough. Oh, no.
Yikes.
Jamari.
I mean, he had bottle charges. I don't know. I think maybe both the Stampede and the Thunder Gods being popped sort of within a second of each other might have messed with his timing a little bit, but either way, that is rough. I mean, the tower does go down eventually. The problem is B9 ends up denying it, so the objective is claimed, but the gold is not quite what they were hoping for.
No, and then, well, look at that. RCY just gets the bottle regenerated. Yeah, he's getting run at. And we'll have to see if he's able to run this one out. Of course, there goes the Flame Guard. Needs to wait for another slight. And of course, oh, look at that.
Global. Into the TP. B9 honestly may have just sacrificed himself for that, but hey. That's kind of his job, and he's actually really making him work. There we go. He had a wand with 10 charges, but he didn't know Jamari was behind him until it was too late. But you got the Zeus out of trouble. He didn't have to pop the regen either. Very important. Yarn gets picked off elsewhere on the map. That is maybe a slight downside. The supports are kind of hanging out on the opposite side of the map. Now they are getting punished for it.
Yeah, and is it honestly kind of okay. They had to use Overgrowth. They had to use Bushwhack. It makes that tower defense for 555 a little bit more difficult. But again, without a cart, there really isn't too much pressure Italiano can get or can put on this tower. Even though he has finally gotten his Blink Dagger after this last creep, it's going to be time for him to look for maybe a smoke play. Great timings from Italiano. This is where I think the game, again, begins for DogChamp. They can actually land with their heroes. They can actually get a lot of damage onto these cores. And honestly, a smoke play onto, say, Jamari, that'd be pretty great. Even though mid, look at that. One of the costs of having that mid tower go down so early with Adrian's rotation, nobody can help out the Zeus in that situation.
Was EXCA able to get himself involved there helping out? And now, well, that frees up a potential rotation top. Italiano's trying to lay out for this tower. Oh, my God. Okay, Dracul. Yeah, why not? Take no chances. Did not save the tower with it, but they got Adrian both of those kills, and they free him up to farm the lane, so it all looks great. 2 kills top, kill on the Zeus. Solid stuff.
Yeah, just played into Dreamer's hand entirely. They also kill the courier with the Blink Dagger coming, so your 13-minute Blink Dagger is now a 15-minute Blink Dagger on Centaur. Just really unfortunate for DogChamp. It's where I think they're kind of struggling to play the map right now. And of course, with the tier 1 going down still, it does open up that jungle and, again, maybe gives them a few more smoke opportunities. But without the Blink Dagger, I feel like laying out so hard just ends up feeling kind of hollow. Of course, all space for Yuma, who does have his Battle Fury, is farming, just finished it. Great timings from the Ursa, but you gotta hope that these cores just don't fall too far behind, because everybody, again, needs a mountain of gold. Both the Zeus and the Centaur, very map-hungry heroes. Even right now, you see 2 heroes jungling in addition to the Ursa. It's where DogChamp still need that space, otherwise their map's just gonna break. Somebody's gonna start to suffer.
Yep, doing their best to play as efficiently as possible, as... Okay, Yarn stole the remnants. That's nifty. Goes for the immediate TP home. So we'll see how much he can do with that, right? Rubik with more mobility can certainly get something done, but as you said, anytime the opportunity is available, it starts settling back into a farming game as B9. I think he may end up getting picked here. He's going to pop the pig pole, trying to get the extra move speed away, and he's going to make it. Stampede, meanwhile, pop to go in mid. They're looking to keep RCY safe. The Global Silence is going to come out as well. Thunder God's Wrath deployed. That takes the XCA out. 555 will die as well. And Jamari, do you want to lay out for the kill? Is he going to be able to go in? He is, but he's not able to finish the job. Yarn catches him with the telekinesis. And there's the threat. No matter how big your lead is, there's a Global, there's a Stampede, there's Thunder God's Wrath to hit you globally. Everything can turn on a dime. Yeah,
and of course, that fight was just a great take from DogChamp, because there is, funnily enough, even though Dreamers have their tier 1 mid, they're on the other side, so there's no easy way for that TP reaction to happen, but also DogChamp can take the fight with full confidence knowing that Ravage isn't up just yet. And now it's Dreamers' turn to be the ones on the aggressive. It's where they've got meta again. I'd be really surprised if we didn't see Adrian head on towards bottom. And this is a fight that I think DogChamp wholeheartedly want to avoid, as RCY, it might already be too late. He might even not need to get ravaged here, even though he has eaten a lot of damage, and actually, he can't ravage. Oh, no!
Oh, RCY's walking away! And then he dodges out the sharpshooter. Those are the kind of plays that are going to cost you, because as you just see, Yuma goes into the pit with B9. It's a big enough distraction. Now, not only did you fail to get that kill, you lose a core hero, and now you're fighting into Aegis. So those are the plays, if you're Dreamers, that you really cannot afford to miss out on.
No, and every mistake, it opens up the map, and it opens up the farm. Your failed kill on the RCY turned into Yuma getting his first Roche pre-20 minutes, and no Stampede was used. Really, nothing was used. It was just Dracula, I think, getting greedy with his mana and then getting punished for it, but is also kind of a drawback of the item build that Drakeel has decided to go for. This isn't your Greaves Rush. This isn't your Greaves Pipe Blink Dagger. He's got Phase Boots. He's going for a Pipe Rush instead to try and peel off any damage that RCY is going to do in the mid game, but it's just not working. And what is this? Stampede to escape from bottom, but also enables RCY to try and get a kill on under Drakeel, and it works with Yaren.
And now 555's
My goodness,
kind of out here alone. He just popped Overgrowth. But there's going to be the global. RCY trying to fall back. Yuma's now joining the fight as well. Jamari's losing so much health. He will get the kill. And he's just barely able to jump himself away, and it looks like Dreamers may be able to turn that. They get onto Yaren too, and... oh, man. I mean, they salvaged what was looking like a rough situation there. Drakeel for 2 is fine, but just balancing on a knife's edge with Jamari in that fight.
Yeah, and if Adrian wasn't positioned the way he was, I think simply that would have been another global TP that probably would have worked, but RCY knew the TP would just right-click him to death if he just stood his ground and then tried for the TP out, but still, a situation that Dreamers does not want to be in. Dreamers want to be taking these clean fights into very easy objectives. They did a fantastic job of warding up this bottom Radiant jungle, but it's that decisive victory that they're still lacking. They haven't found something that feels too good, and we'll have to see how they eventually get into these fights, because again, I'm looking for a Blink Dagger on the Tidehunter. I'm looking for, again, that definitive initiation that just gets you clean onto somebody. As mid was the XCA, and Jamari will be able to walk that one out, but super low. Has to escape. Has to be really careful of Yuma's reblink here. But even look at Jamari. He's got a Deso. He's going for a Blink Dagger. This isn't BKB. This isn't Maelstrom. This isn't Ags. This is all physical damage that they're all inning on.
Doesn't give him any defense against the global silence as Yuma. He's going to push his way mid, looking for Drakeel. One more hit will do the job, and they find the kill. They get the stun onto 555 as well. He doesn't have Overgrowth for 3, so he wants to buy a little bit of time. Meanwhile, the Aegis did pop onto Yuma, but he's right back up trying to get into the fight. RCY has joined as well, dishing out the damage from the sidelines. But I think at this point, everybody's going to want to back off just a little bit here, although, get the positioning. Yaren and Italiano were kind of waiting in the wings, but if they jump in, the damage itself was kind of already falling back.
Yeah, they'll walk that one out. Already used the Thunder Gods. They really want to wait for that before they take too many big team fights, but also you gotta kind of respect the Tidehunter still at this stage of the game. But really, got to use her first Aegis. That was Yuma's kind of freebie, where he can afford to make a mistake. I can only imagine that he's going to trade out that Aegis for BKB or something along those lines, and that is what he's going for. And of course, that's that danger zone we brought up in draft. Once you have BKBs on DogChamp, or ways to circumvent the Tidehunter, well, what's Tidehunter here for? I guess it's just a pipe, but the pipe gets eaten through so quickly with the damage from the Rubik and Zeus that it's really not sticking on to anybody.
Yeah, which brings us back to the point you were talking about earlier with this item build. The Greaves is just straight up healing being forcibly injected into your teammates, whereas the pipe can be removed in, honestly, depending on the circumstances, one well-bounced Arc Lightning. Well, okay, maybe not one, maybe 2, but the point still stands. It's not going to be as long-lasting, but, well, the way Dreamers have itemized across multiple heroes, the solution is just be the team initiating first, right? If we attack instead of reacting, a lot of those concerns could potentially go away.
Look at this. Back where they had the fantastic vision in Italiano. He's going to have to stampede him out. But look at that. What a global. And now just TP's out. Dirty.
Oof. And they save the stampede. Okay, Yaren's not getting out of that one. Adrian just wails on him, but global used, only a support dead. You're still feeling okay with that, and Dreamers are going to try to push this tower, but yeah, this is where it gets very bad. Italiano just jumps in onto all of them. Ravage does come through. That allows Adrian to get off the Sunder, and now they're going to try and turn. Yuma's dropping low. Can he somehow get away from Drakeel? No, he cannot. Yuma goes down. And, well, they're going to try and go again. They jump in. The Terrorblade does not have Sunder this time. And he somehow get away. Hurricane Pike creating the separation. RCY a little low on mana, but still trying to chase. And they are going to be able to get him. So, at the end of the day, they pull it back and looking for more. Italiano, another Blink Stomp. Drakeel gets hit. Kraken Shell is able to remove a lot of those debuffs, but he is still pulled back by the telekinesis. And as slow as this may be, I don't know if Drakeel's getting out, although between the face boots and the self-whip, he went pretty damn fast across that river. He's going to be okay, and now Italiano getting a taste of his own medicine. He's the one finally jumped in on with that Blink initiation, but he's looking for the TP out. Can he somehow get away? No, he can't. Bushwhack connects, and I think the fight is finally over at this point as everyone's backing off.
Yeah, and it was a little bit hasty from DogChamp there. At the end of the day, they actually even saved their glyph. Their tier 2 mid did not take really all too much damage, but if they get the Terrorblade on that first initial jump, team fight is so hard won. It's probably a 5-man wipe from Dreamers. There's very little you could do versus the Ursa at that point, but because he's able to survive, then it goes a little bit worse for DogChamp. It's not as clean. It's where RCY just previously TP'd back to Fountain, so it ends up being a little bit of a dirty engagement. But now in Jamari, okay, he does that with a Remnant, but Yuma has the BKB, so next time he jumps with his Centaur, that TB needs to be careful. He needs to have a Force Staff. He's gone for his own Hurricane Pike, which is why he survives that previous situation, but this is where you really need to be able to kite the bear. Otherwise, that is the initiation where Adrian dies first time around, and then the team fight is lost.
And I don't know. Hard to make the decision in the moment, right? But some of their damage went on to Drakeel, thinking if we kill him before Ravage, then we're fine. But as you said, I don't think they realized they got Adrian that low until it was kind of too late and they missed their opportunity. But in terms of positives for Dreamers, there's a Blink Dagger, I believe now on its way. There we go, on the courier. So 555 has a Blink. The Blink Overgrowth play is big. This is bigger, though. Jamari, oh my god, that's not where you wanted to be. Just trying to contest for the rune. Instead, the Global catches him out. They'll take him down. They get Drakeel trying to TP away as well, and well, now Dreamers have to immediately fall back. They're going to try to split push things out with Adrian's illusions, but no actual hero is going to be able to push too far forward until they're back at full strength.
No, and of course, we'll have to see what the Roche has in store for us, but this is where the next Ravage is so important for Dreamers Esports. If they win a fight with it, then they get a building, they probably get map control around the pit, and they get to be annoying. But if this next Ravage is wasted, DogChamp, despite the losses, despite really whatever comes their way, they will march into the pit and they will take the Roche, and you will not have Ravage. It's one of those facts that Dreamers have to be so careful tiptoeing around. There's one mistake, and that second Age is given over to Yuma. It's the Shard given over to the Ursa. It's really the next 5 minutes spelled out for DogChamp.
I want to ask you at this point about this play from Jamari. We talked earlier, he was going aggressive, he went Blink, he went SO. Now after that, Yasha into, well, maybe Manta to remove the silence, but no direct defensive itemization. He refuses to change course.
Yeah, and oh, Yaren, the supports.
There's the Ravage. Does it hit onto anyone other than supports? Not really, but they do clean up both of them. The problem is, the cores are going to start hitting pretty hard. Yuma was able to find 1 kill. RCY trying to relocate. Whip is going to slow him down a bit, and Adrian is getting into position. But so is Yuma, trying to get onto the backline. Got a first hit bash onto the TB. They're trying to force out his Sunder if they can. But Adrian is doing a pretty good job dancing, trying to keep himself out of this fight. But while he gets away, Jamari, well, he doesn't get away, actually. Jamari gets taken down. The bash comes through again. And the fight's done. They've just got to run, but Dracula can't make it out. There's just too much damage. Yuma picks up all the kills. And, well, there's the power of the Basher. Procs, like, 6 times in that fight, but that's why you really didn't want to have to deal with the Ursa picking that item up.
It's a combination of the Basher, and you really felt every second of that 9-second BKB. Yuma just got to pop it so early on, even got to pop the Enrage, just to immediately pop out that Overgrowth. And then again, it was a check of how many tools you have to kite the Ursa, and it just simply wasn't enough. As well as the buyback from Rubik, just something we typically talk about with supports baiting their lives. They get a Ravage for 2 supports, and one of them buys back. Well, that ends up not being a great Ravage. And already talked about the stakes of that Ravage and how it would affect the Roche. It just goes in pretty much the worst possible way for Dreamers.
Okay. CXCA just deleted from the map there. And that's where DogChamp are starting to get, right? Their initiation, it just comes so quickly. They can find these picks onto the supports in record time. And we just haven't gotten to see a whole lot from those supports. Talked about the Treant picking up his Blink Dagger. He still has it. That's always going to be a threat, but ZXCA on this Hoodwink is really starting to feel less and less effective. Stat line, 269, still not bad, but you're not feeling the impact anymore.
No, we're getting to that point where it's just not enough in the tank. And Adrian just finished up with Scotty, which is nice. It's good to see, but still doesn't solve the issue, which still is RCY and what he is doing on the Zeus in bottom. Okay, stolen Overgrowth, and the guy with 0 defensive items eats 2 ultimates, and it's just that simple.
There's no such thing as overkill, right? Overkill are for other people. I mean, global, Overgrowth, a stomp, just everything. But that's how valuable Jamari is, right? Especially since he's gone for the damage-oriented build. That means he is accountable for so much more of Dreamer's overall damage, and without him, they can't really do anything. And 555, yeah, that's... oddly enough, for the Treant Protector, the trees are not your friend in that situation.
No, this nighttime, it's just brutal as well. Because you look over at the vision that Dreamers have, and they're just unable to play where all of their wards are. So they're effectively playing blind. They do have a nice ward scouting out a lot of the heroes walking in, but then they lose track of them. They become unaware of the positioning. And now, do they see the Ember coming in? No, but the Ember is going in.
Oh, they're looking for the Rubik here, but Yaren, he did a decent job of baiting, but his teammates aren't in a great position. So they just need to bail out. Stampede, yep. Just gonna be popped here. Get everybody out of there. Timing was off. No need to lose any more. But that buys Dreamer some time. Alright, they can reset. Adrian continues to farm. BKB queued up for him. Nullifier technically in the quick buy after that, but it's gonna be the BKB first, because he's not that foolish. Although I say that, ET, he just got jumped in on. There's the stun, the bashes. He did get off the Manta into the Sunder, though. Ooh. Surviving by the skin of his teeth, and now Drakil comes in. They're going to be able to pop the Ravage. The Overgrowth as well actually canceled Yuma's TP. I thought he was getting out, but now he's stuck. His BKB's wearing off. He does have 2 lives, though, so they're going to have to get him a second time. B9 coming in. Global Silence in 1. But since the Ursa already tried to TP, he doesn't have it available again. Oh. Tries to juke. Force Staff. Moving him along, but here comes Shamari. In with the root. Global Silence, though, will be popped, and maybe they do try to fight this. They've got reinforcements coming in. RCY, 5 seconds out from the Thunder God's Wrath. Will that be enough, though? Yuma really is taking a beating. He's lasting a hell of a long time, but can he actually make it out of here? Got the temporary Enrage. His Blink, though, did get canceled, but he's still somehow running. But once he reaches the ramp, they do catch up. That's a long-ass kill, ET, but they got it, and it is worth a lot of money.
Yeah, no, and it's a situation where you would hope DogChamp didn't just throw their game all on that play, but they just laid out, thought it was enough damage. They didn't have Thunder God's Wrath. They just purely went with their stun and thinking that Nimbus was going to be enough. And maybe if the Zeus was level 20 with, I don't know, the mini stun, it would have been enough lockdown, but it's maybe 2 Ursa hits off or another double edge, and it blows up in their face hard, because this is all the space in the world, all the time, and the first Ravage we've seen where Drakil kills heroes with it, and then we get to just sit across the map, and now this 60 seconds on Ravage doesn't feel like too much time, because well, in 40 seconds, the Ursa comes back up, and by that, it's going to be 20 seconds on Ravage. So Drakeel just gets the team fight again.
And Drakeel's got a halberd now. Full-on halberd, blink dagger coming out to him, so the level of utility coming into play for the Tide is really ramping up exactly at the moment where DogChamp would rather that it doesn't, to be perfectly honest, because we talked about this earlier. The Terrorblade, it's got a later window than Yuma does on the Ursa, right? So 31 minutes in, as we go on, the TB is going to start getting more and more impactful as Overgrowth going to be committed. They've caught RCY. Can they actually bring him down, though? They need a little bit more damage. The Stampede, though, is allowing him to get away. No, it is not. They will still be able to bring him down. Adrian gets the kill, so that means Italiano Gangster is alone underneath this tower. I don't think they can actually kill him. Oh, hold on. Dual Scepter. Now they've got the slow. Now they've got the kill. Okay. NET. Oh, what were you saying before? Did they throw away their game a little bit? It's kind of starting to look that way.
No, it's just a few too many items that they got off that play. Of course, the easy one there is just Adrian's BKB, basically just killing the Zeus outright. But now you would hope that they get a little bit of a mental reset here. But the more time they need to get that reset, well, the more gold Dreamers get. And of course, that's where Roche is still dead. Roche is still dead for quite a while. We'll have to see what the timer is in another 2 minutes. So the next obvious objective doesn't really present itself for Dreamers. But again, they're okay farming. They don't want the game to end. They want to wait for another item. They want a 6-slotted TB. They want Jamari to get one more item now that he's got his Manta style, so he's not going to have to worry about the global. It's where the game starts to really spiral here. Not to mention, Drakeel still has Ravage. He didn't have to use it before. He is raring to go. He wants another team fight. Everybody on Dreamers wants that next engagement, or DogChamp are the ones that really need to reset. And they also need to get this next initiation perfect, because Yuma has gone for a full Abyssal Blade. It's no Satanic, it's no Overwhelming Blink. He is all inning basically on his successful lockdown on a hero. So let's say the TB gets forced out, gets a BKB, gets another Sunder off. They can't afford to miss anymore.
They've gone all in on just locking him down and killing him quickly, but that means Yuma is going to have to be careful, right? He's got his BKB for now, not quite lowest duration, but as we mentioned earlier, that halberd could be a pretty big deal, right? You could go in, you can get the Abyssal Stun, that's great, but if you then get disarmed, well, your chances of killing him obviously go down pretty significantly, as DogChamp will make the attempt here. Full 5-man smoke, making their way out of the base. Only problem would be this ward right over here that scouted out the entire thing. So unfortunately for DogChamp, they are not as sneaky as they think they are. The question is, if you're Dreamers, where do you try and set up? Because you have to assume they will. They've got the Ravage, they know the smoke happened. And if they don't know exactly where DogChamp are.
And I don't want to be that guy. That was a little bit of a tack pause. I'm not going to lie. Drakeel immediately draws on the map and then decides to TP away, and then they smoke themselves. Yeah, that was a little... You guys aren't... That wasn't slick in the slightest. Nobody, even fake DC'd, But, whatever. I'll let you get away with it. As now, yeah. The smokes will break, and maybe it doesn't matter, but... Okay.
Well, Stampede has to be used. But yeah, one of those... Let's pause real quick, make sure everybody saw that smoke happen, right? We all saw it? Okay, cool. Resume the game sort of thing, but they do break up the smoke play. Not in a way that actually gets them any sort of significant engagement, but it also takes a lot of that agency out of DogChamp's hands. So they push across the map. Adrian goes back to farming, got himself a butterfly as that next pickup. So, well... yeah, sure. Why not, right? Yuma's kind of your biggest issue to deal with. He is almost entirely physical damage, so damage for yourself and a little bit of evasion. If you can dodge 1 or 2 hits, that may just be enough to let him get the Sunder.
Yeah, it's a massive problem. And of course, with the way that the map is forced to be played for DogChamp, it means that this MKB from Yuma is not even a thought in the back of his head right now. And it just means that that burst onto Adrian, again, isn't guaranteed. I mean, he's a 3.5k HP Terrorblade with Titan Sliver and Evasion, a Butterfly. Again, it makes that initial perfect jump almost impossible. And then we talk about targets. You wonder, okay, who else on Dreamers are we killing if that's not our guy? And it's probably Jamari at that point. But Jamari is now gearing himself up to deal with the Abyssal Blade, and he switched up his build for a Lincoln Sphere. So every item that DogChamp have been able to build up with their earlier lead is now getting answered, which is no state to be in. It's where they're simply not getting powerful enough, quick enough. Thankfully for them, the Roche doesn't force them immediately into a team fight, and they are going to go for another grab here, but their target is not presenting themselves anywhere on the map right now. So then they're looking for supports, but the way this could break, or if it does break, I don't know. It just doesn't feel good.
They're looking for something, but what can they get? Adrian would be a good target semi-alone here in the jungle, but his teammates are close by, and then we go back to
There we go.
Okay. Do you have the burst damage? They don't for Adrian, but they do for ZXCA. Eul Scepter also keeps 555 from getting out any sort of retaliatory overgrowth, and for now, it looks like everyone's okay, RCY. Don't make me a liar. Yep, okay. He's fine. Gets back in, pops the Ghost Scepter just in case, but pressure onto the tier 3. If our opposing side went around behind us, that means the front door is open, and now they just have to be careful about this wraparound.
Yeah, 25 seconds, and okay, Stampede, they're going in, it's split.
Their target is initially 555. They'll blow him up quickly. Immediate buyback from him, though. Doesn't really have a TP point, so it's going to be a while. And while that happens, Italiano got his TP canceled. Stomp doesn't really help when Adrian's hitting from the high ground, so they will lose the Centaur. A buyback was committed by B9, so your Silencer's back in, but he's back in with no ult. But they're kind of stuck in no man's land. They have to try and do something. Yaren, well, he gets caught out. I think they thought they had Yuma in range there as the Ravage was deployed, but not going to be the case. But they are onto another support, and B9 just bought back. If he goes down here, he loses a lot of gold, and he's dead for a pretty long time. But Yuma senses his opportunity. Goes in, gets the Abyssal stun, but they don't have enough damage. That would have been a big one if they could have taken Jamari down, but it's just not quite enough.
No, RCY already tapped, already used most of his spells, and that fight was about to be ideal for DogChamp to take. That was with maybe 10 seconds left of the meta, but then worst case scenario really plays out here, because now they're in no shape to fight, they're in no shape to contest the next Roche. It's why they try to keep that ward alive for so long, even though the Ravage seems slightly questionable from Jakeel. Killed the Rubik. It's another reason for them to simply go into the Roche. It's another man advantage that they get to play around, and it just ends up working. It's really unfortunate that RCY didn't have his ulti for the Ember there, because now the ball is in Dreamer's court. They've got everything. They've got Aegis. They've got a full Nullifier on their Terrorblade. There's a Refresher Shard bumbling around somewhere as well, probably sitting on either the Treant or the Tide Hunter. I mean, this next team fight is so impossible. At least they have some buybacks, especially for RCY if he does end up getting caught in an initial Ravage, but nothing looks pretty. And okay, Stampede, looking for Jamari, and he's out. And now the creep wave top, they're in. They're on your racks.
Yep. Tower's already gone. Racks dropping. RCY cannot afford to die here. The global's defensively used, but it's just not enough. He does have buyback, but... oh, man. I mean, if you use the buyback, you are entirely telegraphing the play, right? There is zero subtlety that can come from a Zeus buyback, but... oh, they might need to use it anyway, because if Dreamers go for a second lane of racks, their defensive capabilities here are not fantastic as Italiano blinks in, misses the hoof stomp. I mean, this is not looking good. Glyph is going to come out. That will buy them some time. Not 45 seconds of time, though, so... decision to be made. Do they buy back? Do they fight it, or do they let two lanes go for free? It's looking like it's going to be the latter.
They don't want to force themselves into that lose condition, even though there is a Ravage.
There it is. Connects onto 3. What can they do? RCY, he's going to buy back. There's going to be the Tendril coming out as well. Yuma is going to be able to get away. Italiano, though, is dropping low, but he's able to make it back to the fountain. Fight will reset. Yarn with the stolen sharpshooter kills off ZXCA. So there is a casualty on the Dreamer side, but they want more. They're pushing in. They're onto the Terrorblade. They get the first life, and Yuma's just going to push everybody away. They are setting up onto the TV again. Can they bring him down again, though? Not immediately. BKB popped. Adrian into the fight. Teammates coming up behind him. 555. Well, he's dropping pretty low here, but Jamari's actually the one to go down first, and this is starting to get a little bit confusing and a little bit dangerous for Dreamers. Adrian cannot afford to die here. He is holding the Sunder, but if he gets bashed, well, he won't get bashed, but he's still low on HP. Stuck in the middle of 3. Yaren blinking forward, getting the telekinesis, catching him out, going for the sharpshooter, hit at point-blank range. And they bring him down. Drakil's in trouble now as well. He's just going to try and walk it off, but Dreamers, it's hard to say that they made a mistake considering they got 2 full lanes of Rax AT, but maybe they made a bit of a mistake.
Yeah, no, they didn't leave with their tail between their legs as soon as meta was out. And with the way they walked as well, just purely underneath the tier 3s, they went in pretty much the most dangerous exit they could have gone for, as well as RCY's buyback catching them completely off guard. Specifically Jamari, who gave up his life in its entirety to try and kill him, and then Jamari didn't want to commit his own buyback to get back into that engagement, so ended up being a whole bunch of gold that just got thrown back into DogChamp's camp. It's where Yuma, with the MKB finished as well, it fixed his problem for the time being. Now he needs some more items. Now he's going to need some more time. And sadly, of course, the classic Ursa dilemma is that really they don't push the fastest. So this 40-second timer on TB is not going to feel too great, even though they want to pester the high ground. But this is one of those counter throw situations. DogChamp don't want to go too hard here because they could just throw away all that advantage they just gained back. They're probably done pushing after Yuma overpowers this tower.
And, well, it is kind of funny. I was mentioning, you know, at the time when he was still dead, there is no subtlety in an RCY buyback, but who needs subtle if Dreamers kind of overextend themselves and give you the opening? And now, you look at RCY, he's got the Refresher Orb, right? He's got the Nimbus from that Aghanim Scepter upgrade, so the damage output that the Zeus has at his disposal is something the Dreamers, no shame in it. They have to be terrified of it.
Yeah, it's also where RCY cannot die. If he dies, game is most likely over. They run out of all of their damage. It's why Dreamers immediately go for a revenge smoke here, because they catch RCY and it's over. It's done. It's also where RCY is gunning for his level 25. That is a huge game changer for Zeus. Either one is fantastic. Most people prefer the AoE Lightning Bolt nowadays, but he's gone the Thunder God's Wrath damage, so either one is fine by my book. But as well, RCY got the Refresher Orb. So we've got 2 Thunder Gods. We've got 2 Nimbuses. It's where the support life for the Hoodwink and the Treant becomes very difficult. And okay, mid, trying to get Yuma early, but great Earthshock, great pullout from Yaren.
Got himself the shard, pulls his teammate out of there. And RCY also slotted in the Stormcrafter here, so you've got that little tiny mini tornado, which, well, I mean, he doesn't have a blink or anything off the back of it, so you're not pulling that sort of phase shift puck strat, but could buy him enough time for his teammates to get in, could buy enough time for a global to come into play, and every little bit will count, because as you said, he cannot afford to die. Italiano, little bit slow in the initiation there. Stampede used with the blink. Comes in too late. Stampede at this point, though, I mean, it's a short cooldown. If that's all they spend, they're going to be okay to reset.
No, and reset they will. And DogChamp, again, not wanting to stick around, decide to smoke up. Don't know if they saw it with the Zeus, but the Yuma breaks. Yep, daytime, they know what's going on. And they are really putting themselves in an awkward spot here, but they're up the lane. They're trying to get the advantage, and they see Adrian. They've got this Great Ward Sentry that got overlooked by their gem.
Oh, they got him with the sharpshooter.
Fight? Oh.
Nimbus, there's Yuma in with the Abyssal Blade. Will it be enough? Yes, it will. Adrian's dead already, and that's just brutal. He's going to buy back, though, but where does he TP to? He's going to the outpost, so his teammates just have to hold the line for a little bit longer. And they're going to start to turn the fight. Yaren dead. B9 taken down. Yuma's in some trouble. Can he get away? No, he can't, so he's going to try to turn around. He's hit by the Nullifier, just getting absolutely smashed. But Yaren with the buyback pulls him away. Will that be enough? Force Staff out now as well, and Yuma makes it all the way back into the base. But at this point, Dreamers, they're still chasing. They smell blood in the water. They want to try to push forward. Yuma still dropped low, taken down, has a buyback available. Immediately pops it. But they're down to just 2. It is Yuma and RCY against the world here, having to take down the entirety of Dreamer's lineup with no Thunder Gods left and 1 Nimbus.
Oh, and yeah, I really think maybe if B9 had bought back, they get another Force Staff, maybe there's enough space, but he saves it. And now, okay, Adrian, no more meta. A situation in which Dreamers could be cautious, but they know that there's no Rubik. They know that it's a 3v5 at the very least. And oh, RCY doesn't end up going down, but This is where the creeps, they start to push in. The first tier 4 is getting taken, and it's going to become a problem. This is where they need to buy space. They need to buy some time. Yuma, no BKB for 4 seconds, but that's when he would want to commit.
Oh, he just got caught by the Yules. They
Gotta
are
go now,
falling
though.
back, but yeah, the Ancient's exposed. They gotta go in. They already used their Nimbus, though, off to the side in a spot that's really not helpful, but they're gonna try and find it. Yuma, still not activating his BKB, but Ancient. Ancient is dying. Ancient is in trouble. Ancient is gone. Game is over. Okay. Little unfortunate there for DogChamp. They didn't seem to all be on the same page, but on the other side of things, Dreamers talked about it before, right? In their previous series, their laning stage had them a little bit behind, but they waited for the mid and late game timings, and they turned it around in that series. They do pretty much the exact same thing here. Very patient from them.
No, and I can only imagine a very frustrating game for DogChamp. And I don't know what win probability would necessarily look like, but I feel like it all goes with that play bottom, where they lose their second Aegis, they try for a kill that ends up killing their Ursa, killing their offlaner, killing pretty much everybody involved in that play, and then blowing up in your face. And then for the next 15 minutes, it just felt like they had no gas in their engine. It felt like they had no steam left. They just are constantly dealing with the aggression now from Dreamers. They deal with every ravage thus forth. It just felt like Dreamers got a second chance in that game, or DogChamp were just riding this real easy upward path that Ursa usually follows, and then got knocked off of the box for a second, and then suddenly it's all Adrian. And then every play subsequent after that, after Adrian got the third Aegis, was a hero play at that point. It has to be so exceptional, so difficult to execute. It's just too much, and the numbers are just constantly playing against him. Suddenly, Jamari becomes a hero as well once you get over that hump. Just ugly stuff. DogChamp are probably beating themselves up over that one.
Yeah, feels like they just kind of missed their timing. RCOI still comes out of it with a very impressive stat line, 15, 4, and 10 with, I was just actually reading it and then I forgot, just shy of 69,000 damage dealt on the Zeus, but he couldn't do the whole thing by himself, right? And the rest of the team fight really kind of petered out. Italiano Gangster in particular, so many times. Stampede into Blink, or just a baseline Blink stomp that is half a second too slow, right? Then he stomps nothing, and all of a sudden your offlaner really only exists for his ult and his Greaves.
Yeah, and again, another one of those, I think, curvy heroes where you have a value attributed to you. Your hero is great when it's great, and then it just starts feeling slower and slower and slower, and then the initiations become more and more difficult, and it's just too much. But honestly, I feel like aside from the way that game ended up getting executed, draft's fine. I don't really expect
Mm.
DogChamp to change up all too much, and the game plan was fine. It just ended up blowing in their face. I think maybe the one big switch up they make is that instead of trying to counter out Drakeel in the lane so much, maybe they look for Yuma to be on a hero more comfortable going late if Adrian is just trying to be the bigger carry in these situations, because that's what Yuma loves. Yuma loves being the TB himself. He loves being the Morphling. He loves being the Medusa. He can go late. It's just, I think, in this game specifically, ended up on a timing here where Adrian wasn't, and then they missed their timing. Simple
Mm-hmm.
as that.
So yeah, as you said, we'll see minor adjustments perhaps from DogChamp. Could see something relatively similar with just one or two tweaks, but they will need to do something different because this game does not work out the way that they wanted. They're now down 0-1 in the series, and Dreamers are one win away from securing their spot in Phase 2. So they've got a lot of confidence and a lot of momentum on their side. We'll see if they can harness that to close out this series, or if DogChamp push us the full distance and get us to 3 games. We'll be finding out in just about 5 to 10 minutes here, so stick around, and we'll be back.